Hello and welcome everyone to today's training on money wellness, how to have a healthy perspective on earning, saving, and spending your money. I'm Wendy Spurgeon, creator of the Way of Truth Sacred Journey Portal and your facilitator for this evening's webinar. I'm very excited to be speaking with you today, and supporting us with slides is the lovely, talented, brilliant Shelley Chase, writer and life happiness coach. Today we are going to explore 3 key steps necessary for effectively managing your money. Now, while I review what we're going to cover in today's webinar, please take a moment to get one of your paper currencies from your purse or your wallet, or it could be a 1, it could be a 20, it doesn't matter, a piece of paper currency. We're going to use it in an activity shortly. And a calculator, if there is a calculator handy, or if you're like me, I use my phone's calculator. So go ahead and start looking for some of those things while I cover some of the housekeeping. So during the webinar, we will cover the following: getting a pulse on your current financial situation, how your money comes and goes in your life, clarifying your financial future, and how you would like money to be working for you tomorrow, identifying what's currently getting in the way of you reaching a healthier financial future. But before we jump in, we're just going to take a minute or two to review some guidelines so that we can ensure that we have a successful webinar. Please be respectful of others and keep background noise to a minimum. It's best to be in a place where there's no noise and you can focus on the discussion at hand. Please say your name before you speak. Now, we're starting to get cozy with one another, but for those who might be just watching one of these replays for the first time, it's helpful to say your name so that the community can get to know who's speaking. And be participative. These webinars are much more valuable and fun when everyone gets involved. Okay, so let's begin our discovery. Money. It is such an important part of life. We all need it for the essentials of life. I'm just gonna see if I can minimize the boxes up here. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. But yes, so we need money for the essentials of life, to eat, to buy clothes, and have a place to live. And it also plays an important part in our future plans. We all have dreams we want to fulfill, and money is probably going to be needed in order to make those dreams come true. But we face a big problem with money. We never seem to have enough of it. The checking account is close to zero, and the next paycheck isn't coming for another week. Of course, several bills are also due, and it looks like we'll have to rob Peter to pay Paul again. Why is it so difficult to make ends meet from month to month? Why does it never seem to be enough money to cover our needs and wants? Well, part of the reason financial health eludes so many is that we don't pay attention to it. We think we do, but we really don't. Or at least we don't pay enough attention to it. So let me show you what I mean. I would like you to test your knowledge around something that's quite familiar to you, your currency. So please pull out one of your paper currencies for this exercise. I'm going to ask you several questions to see how familiar you are with what's printed on your currency. So please picture your currency in your mind and then put it away. No cheating, no looking at it. It defeats the purpose of the exercise. Okay, so you're visualizing what it looks like. Ready? Okay, on the front side of the bill, How many times is the value printed? Is the value numerical or spelled out? Is there a person or a building on the currency? If so, what or who is it? What direction is it facing? What is the color of the currency? Is there a motto or phrase? If so, what is it? Okay, so now I'm going to ask the questions again, but this time you are allowed to study the front of your bill for 30 seconds before I ask the question. So I'm pulling out my timer here. So go ahead and start. You can start studying now. You'll get a little more than 30 seconds. So really study the front part of the bill. We have another 15 seconds, and then I'm going to quiz you again. And stop. Put your currency away. We're going to ask those questions again. So, ready? How many times is the value printed on the front? Is the value numerical or spelled out? Is there a person or a building? If so, what is it? What direction is it facing? What is the color of the currency? Is there a motto or phrase? If so, what is it? Okay, so would anyone like to share how they improved from the first try to the second? And just go ahead and take yourself off mute and share with us what that exercise was like and how you improved from the first try to the second.
Hey, Wendy, it's Kimber. I guess
Hey.
I'll start.
Yay!
So, yeah, the first go around, I only knew like maybe 2 of the questions.
Uh-huh.
And then when we went through it the second time, I actually remembered the questions that you had asked and looked at those things specifically.
Right.
But there were still several things that I missed.
Well, good job. Great. Thank you. Anyone else have any feedback from that exercise? Okay. Well, what we're trying to get to with that exercise is a little bit of awareness around mindless spending. Familiarity often breeds mindlessness. Yes, I did say mindlessness. We end up becoming mindless, unaware, and take for granted those things that are commonplace in our lives. And this definitely holds true for money. it's there, we spend it, but at the same time, we become unaware of how we use it, just like we become unaware of what's actually printed on our common currency. Because we don't give our money the attention it deserves. Understanding how much we make, spend, save, and owe, we end up living with a great deal of financial anxiety and stress. But the good news is that we can do something about this situation. We can take charge of our money by growing our awareness around how we make it and spend it. This alone can make our money wellness much healthier than it currently is. So just as you would take charge of your health by deciding to exercise more and eat right, your money wellness can also improve by making a few simple changes to the way you regard your money. Over the course of this webinar, we'll look at 3 steps you can take that will help you become more aware of your financial situation. By breaking the management of your finances down into these 3 steps, you can become more aware of your money illnesses and then develop a cure. So let's begin with step 1 in the process of increasing your overall money wellness. Step 1 is to look at where you are today with your money. We all grew up being influenced by others about the concept of making, saving, and spending money. Whether we realize it or not, the beliefs and values of others impact us as much as, or even more than, religion, sex, and culture. So let's take a few moments to explore the beliefs around money in our quest for money wellness. Let's explore the different beliefs we have around money and how that impacts us. What beliefs around money do people typically hold that impact their financial situation, good or bad? Let's just, open up the mics around this question and have it be, popcorn conversation style. What beliefs around money do people typically hold that impact their financial situation, good or bad? Who'd like to share? Who has a money belief?
Scarcity. There's never enough.
There's just never enough. Who heard growing up, money doesn't grow on trees, the scarcity belief has been really very consistently been in the environment around me growing up, for sure. Any other money beliefs? Good or bad?
How about money will bring you happiness and will fix all your problems?
Yeah. Yeah, there's that belief too, that money, if I could just get more money, that would fix everything, right? And I can't get more money because there's not enough and money doesn't grow on trees. But if I could just get money, it would fix everything. Yeah. Very cool. So another question we might talk about, what contributes the most to the formation of our beliefs around money? Parents, marriage, hardships, or something else? What contributes the most to the formation of our beliefs around money, and what way do those, I'll just open that up. I can say, watching my parents, watching the way that they stressed out about money, and then would conversely overspend. There were just like some, real stressful dynamics around money in the family. Anybody else have examples of what contributes to our formations about those money beliefs?
That was definitely my parents too. Well, my mother, she was a single mother, but she would just cry every month when the bills were due. And it just instilled in me this awful feeling of dread and fear surrounding money.
Yeah. Well, as you have shared, there are many beliefs, both good and bad, that may have affected our current and future financial status. And they come from many influences. In particular, our parents, teachers, spouses, religion, media, and culture. As with many things, once we become aware of our perspectives, we can determine how they are serving us or not and make necessary changes. We can do more of what is benefiting us and can break free from what is not. So now let's further explore your money health. Now, all of us have probably gone to the doctor for a physical. A physical is a medical examination conducted to determine a person's physical health. Examinations of any kind are great because they offer awareness of our current situation or condition. So let's start managing our money in the same way. The first step to better money wellness is to conduct a physical on your current finances in order to gain a better understanding of how your money comes in and goes out. To have money wellness means you must be aware of your current financial situation. Two fundamental pieces of information. One, how much you make, and two, how much you spend. Tracking your money is like tracking calories. Being aware of what you eat and what you expend will tell you whether you are gaining or losing weight. The same is true for money. By tracking the amount of money you're earning compared to what you're spending, you will immediately know how healthy your financial situation is. Yes, it sounds simple, but most people have absolutely no idea what they are actually spending their money on. They don't really think about the money they just spent on a soda or on that electronic gadget. And let's face it, we can all spend money more quickly than it takes to make it. So at this point, let's pull out worksheet number 1, earnings and expenses, that you all printed out prior to coming on. And I just want to note, although it's not necessary, it will be helpful to have access to a calculator during this activity. So I'm going to pull up my calculator on my phone. Okay. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes to complete the worksheet, which will help determine your monthly earnings and expenses. Now, the figures you come up with in each category, they don't need to be accurate to the penny. Approximate numbers are better than no numbers in providing a snapshot of your personal finances. You will not be asked to divulge any confidential financial information. This activity is for your purposes only. So let me start the clock here. 5 minutes. Ready, set, go. All right, we've got about a minute left. All right, and wrapping it up. By subtracting monthly expenses from monthly earnings, you can get a quick idea of your money flow. If your earnings are greater than your expenses, you have extra money that can be put into a savings account or used to pay down a debt, either of which will improve your financial situation. If your expenses are greater than your earnings, the worksheet can help you see what may be causing the money shortage and where you may need to cut back on expenses. So without divulging any personal information, what did you notice from doing this exercise? How did it feel to get more clarity around your money flow? Who'd like to share?
It's not good, Wendy. It's not good.
Well, congratulations on getting it in front of you where you can see it, right? Because we know we can't change anything that we don't acknowledge. What can be tricky, which we're going to kind of get into here in a little bit, is those judgmental thoughts, right? Those tend to elicit the overwhelm and stuckness. But yeah, bringing light to the situation, then you're more informed. You can make goals and decisions, and we're going to be talking about that as we move along. I'll say now there's I think I would personally, without divulging too much personally, want to take some time and actually get more accurate estimates of some of these numbers. And I think that's the great thing about, having downloaded these. You can print these up anytime and use them and like really take a look at things. And I'm really happy with myself by how much I have simplified my spending over the years, so that I've kind of lived a sparse lifestyle, not out of scarcity, but just lightness, because I used to travel a lot and it just didn't make sense to, actually, carry all of my furniture with me everywhere that I was. So, paring down and keeping life really simple has helped me kind of slow the incurring debt. And there's more work to go, but it's great that we have these tools and can work together as a community. There's some real support in that. Holly, was there anything that you would like to share about this exercise?
Well, I tell you, it's I'm in my 60s now, and I have just a lot of experience around this. When my husband retired, probably about 5 years ago, I've been taking care of the finances for our family all those years. And we've been all over the board. I was on welfare at one point. uh, and then we were, you know, two blue collar workers living in a wealthy community, which almost killed us. And, but I took care of all the money. And then about 5 years ago, he took over all the finances, which was really great because I had difficulty. I would do all this kind of work that we're doing here. And by doing all the inventories I did and knowing exactly, like I got everything down to what it cost monthly on an annual basis. And that did more to alleviate anxiety with me because I knew exactly what I needed to be saving every month for like our property taxes, the house insurance. We have an oil furnace, and I needed to save money during the summer so that I would have money to pay every time we needed to go fill up the tank. So it's been 5 years since I've been in charge of the finances, but I can tell you I was clicking through this pretty fast because I have a pretty good idea about which each thing is monthly. And I got it to all, you know, it's like the thing that I can just say is it's really the peace and the fear starts to diminish when you know really what it is. Because when you don't know, it can be like the boogeyman.
Yeah.
But I would, you know, when I, in times when they were really lean years, I didn't want to know, because if I knew, then I would know that I shouldn't be spending money that we didn't have.
Yes, I totally relate. Yeah, and sometimes I find that for myself. Yeah, there's been several times when I was just like, I don't even want to look at it because my imagination had turned it into this big, hairy, scary monster. It was actually when I could look at it that I could see that, oh, well, you know, it was actually pretty typical of most Americans' level of debt, lower than a lot, but this is the culture we live in that conditions us to overspend and spend compulsively. And so, you know, a big part of what we do in this life coaching work is releasing all the stigma, the self-judging thoughts that somehow, you know, I'm an epic failure to be in this position when the system is stacked against us all, right? You know, so, and even just like recognizing that I can take responsibility for what I can take responsibility for and feel like, you know, that is good enough. That is good enough for now. And there, you know, as I continue to take responsibility for what I can as consistently as I can, it's going to have a positive snowball effect, right? I will get further if I'm consistent, and I can be more consistent when I take away the judgmental thoughts and making myself wrong or bad or stupid or lazy or whatever, right? It's not helpful.
Yeah.
So, Kimber, hey, I wanted to check in. It looked like you disappeared there for a second, so I wasn't sure if you got to do that last exercise, but if you did, and you have some feedback, we'd love to hear it.
Hey, Wendy, it's Kimber.
Hey.
Yeah, it keeps on knocking me off, and I'm having to reconnect over and over again, and it wasn't giving me an option to unmute. So I pretty much missed that whole exercise right there.
It'll be in the replay, and you know, not that far into it.
Awesome.
So you can catch up on that. And if you might try a different browser if it knocks you off again. I found I had better luck with Google Chrome than with Internet Explorer. So Yeah, we have to experiment with these sorts of things to find out what works best. But thank you. All right, so let's move to slide 10. The main reason why people can't ever seem to improve your financial situation. They don't live below their means. Instead, people have a tendency to spend every dollar they make and then some. The secret to getting to a better financial place is to pretend that you make less than you actually do. In other words, always spend less than what you make. It can seem impossible to make do with less, but by filling out a worksheet and taking a snapshot of what is happening with your money, you can make the necessary adjustments before reaching a financial crisis. So the key is to combat mindlessness by becoming aware of how your money is actually being spent. Saving money isn't easy. It means you have to prioritize future wants and needs against today's wants and needs. And this brings us to step 2 in our money wellness process. Step 2 is to determine where you want to be with your money in the future. How would you like your money to be working for you tomorrow? What financial goals would you like to identify and reach? Another reason people find themselves in a financial predicament is that they don't plan for the future and put money away for important purchases. People often think that drawing up a budget and sticking to it means they'll have to deprive themselves of current pleasures, so they avoid it altogether. These people wrongly think that living on a budget and saving for important future purchases means having to scrimp, sacrifice, and do without. Being on a budget isn't about buying shoddy goods or depriving yourself of fun because you're putting away every penny you make. Instead, a budget is about making the most of every dollar you are earning so that you can create the life you really want. So let's take a moment to think about those important future purchases you want to make. Please pull out worksheet number 2, Daydreams and Dollar Signs. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to brainstorm what might be some of your future financial goals and to capture them on this worksheet. And remember, you will not be asked to divulge any confidential financial information. This is for your purposes and benefit only. Future financial goals can be anything involving money, such as buying a house, retiring at a certain age, increasing a savings account, paying off a debt, or setting aside money for travel. When you fill out the worksheet, think about your financial goals from 3 different perspectives. Number 1, long-term goals. Financial goals you plan to achieve in the next 5 to 20 years. These will likely be big purchase items. You probably will only have a couple of these kinds of goals. 2, medium-term goals. Financial goals you'd like to achieve in the next 5 years. It is likely that you will come up with a few more of these types of goals than the long-term goals. And 3, short-term goals. Financial goals you want to achieve in the next 5 months. You will probably have many more short-term goals than either of the other 2. Still, we must make sure that these short-term goals, when we look at collectively, are manageable. Okay, about 3 minutes left to work on worksheet number 2. And now we have about a minute left to wrap up that first half of our worksheet. And start to wrap that up. And now that you have brainstormed a decent list of financial goals, it's important to test these goals to determine which are the most important. So now pare down your lists to the 3 to 5 goals that matter the most to you. These are the goals that you will do whatever it takes to achieve. Once determined, list these goals in priority in the space provided on the worksheet. And I'll give you a few minutes to complete the exercise. And about a minute left. All right, and wrapping that up. So just like writing out a to-do list, when you commit something to paper, there's more of a sense of duty to complete it. All right, so now without divulging any personal information, what did you notice from doing this exercise?
This is Holly.
Oh,
Did somebody else start?
go ahead, Holly.
Okay. Yeah, this is Holly. So I want to give a shout out to Wendy because what I noticed is all the work that I've been doing with her as a life coach. This is all, it's all been really thought out. And when I did the first part, I was just able to write it all out, and I wrote it all out in order the way it would go right into the second part.
Yeah.
Hey, Wendy.
Yeah.
Life coaching pays off.
Good. Yeah. I noticed that too. I mean, it was like this work when you're doing it consistently, right? And I have to do my work consistently in order to support my clients and my groups to do their work consistently, right? You have, you know, to be a good coach, to be worth your salt as a coach, you got to do your own work, right? And I'm surprised as well. Like, I mean, there was a time when I would have been so triggered, I couldn't even look at this stuff. But now it's like the judgments have lifted, and it feels so much lighter and easier to be able to be with what is and not make it wrong. And part of that also, it has to do with community. It has to do with really knowing that you're in a safe space when you're working with a coach or with a coaching group in a contained way. So who else would like to share without divulging any personal information? What did you notice from doing this exercise? How did it feel to get more clarity around your financial goals? Kimber.
Hey, so thank you for this. First of all, I have never really sat down and thought out my financial goals. I've always been in survival mode, you know, just trying to make it right now, I didn't even have room in my brain for those financial goals to reach them. So this actually gave me an opportunity to sit down and think really like where and plan for my future. Where do I want to be in 20 years? You know, what is my life going to look like in 20 years? And it was funny because Holly was saying that she kind of wrote them out as categorized and as prioritized. I ended up doing the same thing without even knowing it.
Yeah, I noticed that when I did it too. It like, there's a part of my brain that wants me to create a roadmap, right? And and that helped me prioritize what which of my short-term goals would have the highest chance of getting me to my medium term goals, right? And so that helped me like kind of put things in a little bit of a trajectory. And each of these goals, it's going to take, it's going to take a commitment. It's going to take like reminding myself of what it is and why it's important for my vision. And oh my gosh, if this were a 2-day kind of teleseminar thing, tomorrow I would teach you the whole mental bank system, because it has really helped me intentionally reprogram my subconscious money script. And you do it every night before you go to bed, and it starts to rewire you, and you start to have a greater awareness of what what you are contributing, and you pay yourself. It's just a really a beautiful and self-loving kind of practice as well. It's called the mental bank. So if any of you are interested in a follow-up spontaneous workshop, it's a great tool. So more questions. So how do personal beliefs around money affect our ability to identify future financial goals? Anybody have a take on that one? How do personal beliefs around money affect our ability to identify future financial goals?
Okay, this is Holly. What I'd say is if you're too scared to even look at any of it, then who knows what the future is going to be? It's going to be whatever you get, whatever comes down.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, I'm learning more and more that we get what we think about. And if we think that there's not enough, if we have a belief that it's just too hard, that, you know, if we are being run by that belief subconsciously, then that's what we're going to produce. And, you know, definitely with money, you know, one of the things that seems so scary about it is it seems like it's outside of our control, or it's whimsical. And some people are just lucky about money, and some people just have really bad luck. And if you grew up in a family where, you know, everybody was chanting the same chant, there's just not enough. I just can't make enough. I just can't make ends meet, right? If that's your script, if that's your, you know, mantra, your motto that's running, that's what you're going to experience. It'll just feel too overwhelming or too scary or too useless to even look at it. And so, so again, you know, it's like the willingness to get on a friendly neighborhood webinar like this one. I mean, we have 3 people from Silver City here. That's so cool. And Holly is my neighbor, but she lives in Bainbridge Island. But, you know, we talk every week. So she is very much like my neighbor. And Dulcie, who's going to be coming on here in a little bit to give us a special story and meditation, she lives on the island of Kauai. And but she and I connect over phone and Zoom through our women's group that we do. So it's like a friendly neighborhood webinar, and just being able to get into a safe space like this where, you know, you can just like have a tangible tool like a worksheet to just see what comes out. It's taking a step. And so every step you take towards money wellness is a good step, and it helps you get to that next step, whatever it is. So how do personal beliefs around money affect our ability to pursue future financial goals? I think we already talked about that. We did that one. What do we need to let go of in order to move forward and reach our future financial goals? What do we need to let go of in order to move forward and reach our future financial goals?
This is Shelley. I feel like this so far is geared toward how am I going to reach all my goals based on my current financial situation. And that's just not possible. So the big question is, what am I going to do to build multiple streams of income so that I can actually start working toward my goals, instead of looking at this couple extra $100 a month and thinking I'm going to build some sort of retirement from that. Yeah. So when you see that it's just not sufficient, you got to start brainstorming and getting creative, and you got to stop thinking that you have limits on your income, because there aren't really any limits except what you set for yourself.
Yeah. Well put. Absolutely. Yeah. Opening up to what you don't know, first of all, right? Opening up to the vision and to learning what you need to learn, or connecting with the person you need to connect with, or the franchise, or the business model, or the technology, or whatever it is that's going to support you to be entrepreneurial. I mean, I think particularly for coaches, but more and more it's going to be very beneficial for people to understand the many ways that they can develop income streams that add benefit to their life without overwhelm, right? And so that means an integrated system. And that's actually, with my business, what I've been working on for over a year now, is creating the machine so that I am in a position right when I'm supposed to be able to branch out in those multi streams of income and show other people how to do it, right? That's the benefit of having a community too. Like, I have this platform that I've built and I, continue to cultivate. But I'm like, it's like, come, let's all just, who wants to learn how to do this? And, who wants to learn how to give webinar presentations to have, that reach into the online sphere, or to reach communities that live remotely, that can't connect to these sorts of experiences in their hometown. Just being able to serve more people. So yeah, letting go of the belief that you have to know how. That's one thing that I would say is letting go of the belief that I have to do everything myself. Letting go of the belief that I can't afford to hire people to help me. That's a belief that I've been consciously, intentionally letting go of through my actions. And what I notice is that there's a direct relationship between the service that I put out into the world from my heart on faith that I will be compensated, because there's a universal law of compensation. If I'm putting my service out there to those in need, the gifts that I've been blessed with and cultivated, if it's in the service of the highest good, I will be compensated. And I may not know exactly how. I may not get it directly from those I'm providing the service for, but it will come from a different angle, and sometimes quite spontaneously, just in the nick of time. There is a real in my work, I'm recognizing for myself that there's a relationship between my relationship with the creator, the creative energy, however you define power higher than yourself, and my relationship to money. And the more I can let go of my limiting beliefs about myself and about money and my ability to make money and my ability to serve or to hire, the more I let that go, the more I'm seeing, oh wow, there's a natural reciprocal flow. I am getting paid from multiple streams. So that's been my experience. I think we have time for another question. Dulcie's probably wrapping up her call within a minute or two. So what new perspectives can help us attain these financial goals, right? So maybe what new beliefs, what new empowering beliefs might we adopt that could help us attain these financial goals? How about it's possible? How about I can do it? I've been trying to embrace the one, I'm really good at making money, right? If I can adopt that perspective or that belief, then I don't hold myself back unnecessarily. Any other new perspectives coming up for you?
Here's one that I'm trying to really infuse into my entire life, and it's something called pronoia, which is the opposite of paranoia. And it says, pronoia says that the universe is conspiring in my favor. So that's a new perspective that I'm really trying to pull into my life every single day.
Love it. And how's that working out for you?
It is working out great, actually. I noticed that the more time I spend in meditation and just in really trying to cultivate the policy of positivity throughout my life, that day by day, more and more beautiful things are happening. And it's really a fun little experiment to see how you can change your life just by changing your perspective on things.
Awesome. That's Fabulous. Any other new perspectives?
Okay, this is Holly. I just wrote this in giant letters. It's to ask for help, because sometimes you just don't know what to do. You
Yeah.
don't know where to turn. You can see what the problem is, but it doesn't mean that you have access at that point to any solutions. So it's okay to ask for help. And it's okay to disclose to the people that are going to help you what's going on with you, so that they can actually maybe brainstorm with you.
Right.
And it's really great when you're self-employed, like a lot of people are now, when people are gathering together to figure out different ways to promote one another.
Yeah. For sure. There's alternative economies that are being developed because, well, out of necessity and out of recognition that we can go farther together and that we don't have to be constrained by a model that is rigged. If I shall be blunt, the system is not set up in a way that really addresses the reality of where the majority of our American culture is in terms of money wellness and health and abundance and prosperity and preparedness for the future and for, you know, those unexpected things, you know. So before
Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
So I opened a vintage inspired gift shop on Bainbridge Island probably 10 years ago. And one of the resources that became available through the Better Business Bureau in the Seattle area is the retiring people from different businesses were going in and offering their services to mentor new people that were coming into their specific fields. And it was all across the boards, all these different ways. And there was, I mean, you could see somebody might be able to get Bill Gates to mentor them. He wasn't actually doing it at that point, but there were other people that were really in way up in their field that had retired. And this was one of the things that they chose to do, was to pass things on and mentorship. And it was really great. So stuff like that is available.
Yay! Yes. Yes, it's time. Automation is going to be taking away so many factory jobs, and you know, these industries are being, you know, workers are being replaced, and I see that very soon you're going to have a large population of people who are unemployed, and there won't be so many jobs available for, you know, shift work, for trading time for dollars kind of jobs where you know, you clock in and clock out. More and more jobs are, you know, they're going to be AI, remote, you know, driving, you know, different things that people could do, fixing the robots. I mean, and I see that those of us who are in the transformational field, the personal development field and the leadership field, those of us who are learning systems to support people to connect to their inner wisdom, because I believe, you know, our inner wisdom is going to give us tell us exactly what it is we need to do, because it's very personalized. And so it's, you know, as coaches, I think we're going to be desperately needed to support people to find a new direction and to feel good about themselves in spite of the circumstances that are outside of their control. Any other final thoughts on this question? What new perspectives can help us attain these financial goals? I'm stalling for time a little bit because we are expecting Dulcie to join us any moment. But yeah, any final thoughts about that exercise? Okay. Well, obviously, reaching any future financial goal comes with a price, and that price has to do with the choices we make going forward. We can choose to handle our money prudently, or we can squander it. I mean, those are both choices. Which choice sounds like it will lead to a richer, fuller, and worry-free life down the road, right? Obviously, the handling our money prudently. And remember, if we do nothing toward reaching our future financial goals, we've still made a choice about that future. We all know that if we budget our money and spend it wisely, we can realistically and comfortably lower our living expenses and therefore increase our savings. Increasing our savings can fuel a sense of accomplishment and encourage us to reach our most important financial goals. But if this is the case, then why do we have a habit of letting things slide? What gets in the way of us continuing to improve our money wellness? That brings us to step 3 in our money wellness process. Step 3 is determining what gets in the way of us reaching that state of financial well-being that we want. So let's go ahead and skip 2 slides ahead. We'll skip past the Dulcie slide till she gets here. And before we go into the final segment of the training, I have a special offer I'd like to share with you. We can jumpstart our New Year's financial resolutions and learn how to overcome your money fears and earn what you deserve. You are worth more than you are being paid right now. Barbara Stanny helps you earn the money you deserve. That's a quote from David Bach, best-selling author of The Automatic Millionaire. So our final book study group of 2019 will focus on Overcoming Under-Earning, a 5-step plan to a richer life by Barbara Stanny, best-selling author of Secrets of Six-Figure Women. When it comes to money, are you controlled by fear? Do you underestimate your worth? Are you ready to go to the next level but can't seem to get there? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you may be an under-earner. Under-earners are self-saboteurs who don't live up to their earnings potential, says Barbara Stanny, a financial educator, motivational speaker, and career counselor. Whether they make $10 an hour or 6 figures a year, they tend to live paycheck to paycheck, are often in debt, and have a high tolerance for low pay. Ironically, many work incredibly hard. The good news is that under-earning is a self-imposed condition. By focusing on overcoming it, under-earners will not only earn what they deserve, but live a richer life. With techniques and exercises that have helped thousands of people, Stanny teaches 5 essential steps to financial independence and brings a message of empowerment to all those who chronically undervalue themselves. Our featured webinar book study group will begin Thursday, November 14th at 7 a.m. PST, and we will take the weeks of Thanksgiving and Christmas off. Your Overcoming Under-Earning book study package includes 12 live webinar discussion groups, weekly homework and online check-in forms, convenient access to audio chapters from Overcoming Under-Earning, narrated by Miss Wendy here. There'll be a private Facebook page and a 30-day participate and get your money back guarantee. So the pricing options. Now you can wait till the very last minute to enroll and pay just $497 in full with that 30-day money-back guarantee. Or you could enroll by November 1st in the Thriving Angels membership at $97 a month and save $159 off of your book study journey. So if you'll notice, there's a pattern here. The earlier you start the enrollment process, the more money you save. There will be 4 Halloween partial scholarships available. You can save up to $339 when you enroll by October 31st, Halloween. And for the early birds, there are 2 full early bird scholarships available. They are first come, first served. And the deadline for that is 1 week from now, next Thursday, October 24th. So you want to write down the link there and go to thewayoftruth.live/overcoming-under-earning to start your enrollment process and grab one of those awesome scholarships. So thank you so much. I do see that Dulcie was able to join us. So I'm going to allow her to talk. And Shelley, if you could take us back a couple slides to the Dulcie slide. There we go. We have a special treat. Dulcie Wright is a powerful healer and coach joining us live from the island of Kauai. And she has a special story and meditation to share with us about the money fish. Take it away, Dulcie.
Okay, well, thank you for that splendid welcome, Wendy. Oh, and your next offering sounds like it's a powerful way for women and people to step into the abundance and the knowing that who we are has value, and what we have to offer is, it's important to be financially to have financial ownership of what we deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And to be acknowledged by others for the capacities that we have in the work we do. And that's part of what I've experienced working with you, Wendy, is the acknowledgement of my capacities and gifts. And you have that ability to hone in and see what a person's true gifts and talents are. And I'm grateful for your presence in my life. So with that, the money fish. Well, I have been swimming with the money fish since I was 3 years old. I grew up in Fresno, California. It was a bustling, I guess you could call it a town when I was a child. It was agriculturally based, and my father was a dentist who was not content just to be a dentist. He had wanted to be a doctor, but the Second World War popped up, and so when he came back from the war, he was looking at creating an income so that he and my mother could start a family. And dental school, well, it didn't take as long as medical school and residency, so he became a dentist. And he served a lot of the, how do I put it, the underserved populations in the Central Valley, the Chinese, the Japanese, the migrant workers, the African American population, most of the people that had come in to work the fields, the people that had come in to build the infrastructure of California at the time. And when I was 3, a little over 3, he would visit his best friend's restaurant, the Leilani, and I would sit at the bar with him, have one single Shirley Temple, and then I would be escorted into the kitchen, and the senior cook would greet me with joy and put a dish towel around, wrap it around me like an apron, and he had a little a little cleaver, and I would cut up vegetables. And he didn't really speak a lot of English, but what he spoke had deep meaning to me. And I'm pretty sure that we were communicating telepathically. So he would show me new kitchen tricks, and I would prepare my dinner, he would prepare his dinner, and together we would talk. He would tell me stories about his youth and stories that had been passed down in his family. And one night he told me about the money fish, which I was excited about. I love fish. And outside in the restaurant, they had a big fish tank. Well, they had a couple of them. One of them had lobsters in it, and the other one had different types of fish. So whatever they prepared was really fresh. But he talked about this village in China where there was a family, a man and a woman, and they were farmers, and together they worked the land, and they saved their money, and they had an oxen, and they had a couple of children, and it was a good life. He was a very dutiful son towards his mother and his father, and he worshiped the gods. He set aside the seed every year for the next year. He was a good-hearted man, and he helped his neighbors. And one day he came in from the fields, and he wasn't looking well. So his wife made him a delicious soup, and he barely took 2 sips, and he went to bed, and he didn't wake up. So here is this mother with two small children in these fields and these responsibilities. And she continued to work the fields by herself. And she gradually sold off her jewelry that had been passed down through the matriarchal line for years and years. She sold it off to keep the farm going, to keep her children fed. And one day there was nothing left except for the rice to plant for the next season and a few small vegetables. And she just felt like she was at the end of her rope. So she fixed the vegetables for her children, and she tucked her children into bed. And it felt like the only solution was to go to the head of the village and ask for a loan. And she did. She put on her best clothes. And he said, well, the harvest has not been very good this year, and I don't have any extra money. And she said, well, I don't know what to do. I have 2 small children, and I have this land that needs to be worked. And he said, well, I don't have it to give. And she felt very, very let down by the village, very let down by the community. And she wrote a letter to her sister who was in another village, and she sealed it with a red seal. And the next day she sent it off. And in the morning she went next door, and her neighbor gave her a little bit of food, enough for the next couple of days to feed her children. And she took them out in the field, and they worked the fields, getting the land ready for winter. And she went on for a few more days, and people gave her little bits of food, but just not enough to really get by. She gave it to her children because, well, they're the next generation, and she loved her children. And so she got the idea that maybe if she wasn't alive, maybe if she went to join her ancestors, her sister could take her children. And she thought that she would go down to the river that night and throw herself in the river. So at least there would be food from the neighbors until her sister came to get her children. And so that night she tucked her children in, kissing them, and then going to the altar and saying farewell to the household gods. She went down to the river, and there was a bright moon out, and she could see a golden shape in just moving through the river. And she was crying as she walked along, and her heart was heavy because she really loved life, and she loved her children, and she loved the earth she worked, and she missed her husband, but she didn't see any other possibility. And all of a sudden she heard a voice, and she looked over, and there was a large golden carp, and it had come up on a rock, and it was speaking to her. "Why do you cry?" the carp said. "What is the matter?" And she said, "My husband is dead. I have no food to feed my children. The villagers have given me just enough to feed them, but I don't have anything. And I don't want to cook the rice that I save for next year. I don't know what to do." And the fish said, "Well, what are you planning to do?" She said, "Well, I was planning to jump in the river and just join my ancestors." And the fish laughed. "Well, what do you want?" And she said, I want enough food for my children. I want enough money to pay my taxes. I want enough to help others. I want. And the fish said, "Well, all you have to do is ask." And she had tears running down her face. And she said, "I want just enough." And the fish said, "Well, are you sure you want just enough? Don't you want more than enough?" And she said, "I'd love to have more than enough, but I really just want enough to take care of my children." And so the fish said, "You just simply have to ask." And she said, "I want more than enough." And with that, there was a golden coin in the fish's mouth. And the fish said, "Bend down and pick this up." And as she picked up the golden coin, there were more and more and more coins. And she didn't have enough pockets to put them in. And she just worn very simple clothing. So she held her shirt out, and she had just a mass of coins, and she was crying. She said, "Thank you, fish. Thank you. I'm so grateful. What do you want me to do?" And the fish said, "I want you to ask whenever you need something. I want you to give a portion of what I've given to you to others to help their lives be easier. I want you to gift your household gods. I want you to take good care of yourself. And I want you to save some." And she said, "Oh, I can do that. Thank you, carp. Thank you, fish." And the money fish said, "You're welcome. And anytime you need something, just come and ask." She breathed a deep sigh of relief as she watched the fish swim back into the river. And suddenly life just became rich and doable again. And she walked home with tears streaming down her face. And she put a golden coin up on the altar for the ancestors. And there was a brick behind where she cooked that was loose, and she took that brick out and she put a bunch of the coins in there to save. And the next day she went to the village, the head of the village, and she gave him an offering of coins. And he asked her, "Well, where did this come from?" And she said, "Well, I had something stored away that I had forgotten about. And he said, really? And she said, yes. And I remembered that I just have to ask. And that was a powerful lesson for me, that I just have to ask. I grew up thinking that if I was a good girl, that I would get what I needed. And because I was raised in a family where, well, my mother and my mother said children are to be seen and not heard, I learned not to ask. And so for me, the money fish has been learning how to ask. And the money fish has swum through my life in other ways, through other stories. This old Chinese cook, the last time I saw him, he handed me a bright, beautiful. He would give me dimes and quarters and 50-cent pieces. And the last time I saw him, he handed me a beautiful silver dollar. And he told me to feel it and hold it and know that I just have to ask. And so today, what I have to offer you is the meditation on the money fish. So find a comfortable place to be. You can be sitting or standing. And if you're driving, well, listen. And then at a later time, you can do the meditation. So feel the surface underneath you, underneath your feet, how the earth supports you. How your limbs are held up by the seat you're on, by the earth under your feet. As you breathe in and you breathe out, take a deep breath in and release. And take another one. And notice how your shoulders are. If there's any stress or tension, just shake it out a little bit. And imagine, if you will, 300 feet above you. 300 feet above you is a point at which you can contact Source, God. God is all that is. And just imagine that there is a flow of golden energy coming down from above, moving down, down, down towards your, towards the top of your head. And open, if you will, and allow that delicious golden energy to move down through your head, through your brain, comforting your eyes, expanding your ears and your sense of smell, filling your entire head with this golden energy of Source as it moves down through your body. Down through your spinal cord, down your throat, after it's filled your mouth up with delicious golden energy, soothing and opening all of your energy centers, opening your shoulders, moving down your arms, tickling your elbows, dripping out your fingers, as it also moves down through your chest, warming your heart, pooling in your solar plexus, dripping out your belly button, easing down into your pelvis. Notice how it tickles your ischial tuberosities as it moves through your legs and your knees and your ankles. Softening your feet, tickling your toes. This golden energy of Source just filling up every single molecule in your body, expanding your telomeres, expanding your ability to receive as you breathe in and out. And now, if you will, just imagine that, and that golden energy just moving down through your feet, down to the center of the earth, drifting down, down, down. And when it hits the center of the earth, notice that it's suddenly has a deeper, more expansive capacity. And allow that energy, that mixing of earth and spirit to just move back up towards you, bouncing, jumping, happily moving up into your feet. Feeling your feet, your ankles, your lower legs, your knees, your legs, your buttocks, your pelvis, your solar plexus, your chest, your arms, moving upwards through your neck, filling your brain, filling your head, expanding your hair's ability to just be present. The mix of starlight and earth. Yes. Moving you, filling you full. And now, if you will, from this place of expanded awareness, just imagine that this room that you're in is full of this energy, this combination of earth and spirit. And expand it out beyond the block you live on, beyond the town you live in. Expand it beyond the country. Send it up to the North Pole and down to the South Pole, and allow this energy to just envelop the entire planet. And send your awareness throughout this solar system, out beyond the restaurant at the edge of the galaxy, beyond to Cloud Nebula, beyond the beyond. Breathing in and breathing out this expansiveness. For you are made of stars. And now, if you will, come back into your body, bringing with you this expanded awareness. Breathing in and breathing out. Maybe wiggling your toes and touching your nose just to remind you that you're here. And imagine, if you will, that in front of you is a large fishbowl, or perhaps a fish pond. This is your relationship with money, your relationship with the flow of abundance. And as you look, you can see just glints of gold moving through this water. You can't quite see it because there's something covering it. And in a moment, we're going to take care of that. Now, some of you are right-handed and some of you are left-handed. So get out your dominant hand and very carefully reach into this pond and just take off the top layer. It looks like it might be algae. Yet just as you pick it up, it evaporates. And just clean out this pond or fishbowl. Just clean this algae out. Removing the things that have blocked you from experiencing money and abundance. Okay. And now, if you will, you're reaching with your dominant hand. I'm just putting a polishing cloth and just polish up the outside of this fishbowl, the outside of this pond. Maybe there's some leaves to take out. You can reach in with the other hand. Maybe there's some plants that need to be moved that aren't growing so well. Move those out of the way. There might be a rock or two that's blocking the flow of water. You can remove that too. You can send that down into the center of the earth. And look and see. Does this pond need fresh gravel? Does it need a little more sparkle? Snap your fingers. Snap, snap, snap. And watch the bottom of the bowl, the bottom of the pond transform and brighten up. And now look at the water. Is the water still murky? Snap your fingers once, twice, thrice, and allow the water to brighten. And as the water brightens, notice that there is a fish swimming towards you. And that as you look in this fish's eye, that you know this fish. This fish has your back. This fish is bringing to you opportunities, is bringing to you the awareness that you have unblocked your flow, that you are deserving of more, that you are deserving to be paid well for the work you produce, and that you are deserving of receiving everything that you ask for. And breathe in and breathe out. And look at what you have created. Look at what you have unblocked. Notice this fish. Notice the sparkle in its eye. Notice the colors. Perhaps it's a gold carp. Perhaps it's a carp with silvery scales or black scales. It's your own personal money fish. And you can talk to the fish. You can tell the fish what you would like to have, what you desire, for asking. Asking is one of the universal laws. Ask and you shall receive. If you don't ask, you don't receive what you desire. And now look into the pond. Look into the fish bowl. The fish has a gift for you. And put out your non-dominant hand and receive that gift. It's a coin. And very gently pick it up. Hold it up to the light. Watch the glisten of it. This is your own personal gift from the money fish. And it's not just money. It's not just opportunity. It contains the ability to ask and the ability to receive what your heart desires. It's the capacity to receive your wishes granted. It's the capacity to be present and supported on the planet, by everything that is. For you are truly deserving of every good thing. Feel the weight of this coin in your hand. Thank the fish. Thank you, money fish. Thank you for this powerful gift. And there are more gifts in this coin to be discovered as time goes on. For it's not just about money and opportunity. It's about living a life that is full and rich. Rich with people, rich with experience, rich with travel and healing, rich with artistic creativity. A life that is full, a life that you were meant to live, that you chose before you got here. And now, if you will, feeling this lovely coin, put it in your heart, knowing that at any time you can access this energy of asking and receiving, this gift of the money fish. And breathe in and out and feel the lightness in your heart. Feel the openings that you have created very simply. For you deserve to have a wonderful life, a satisfying life, a life of abundance and opportunity, a life that is peopled with people who care for you and work that makes a difference. And you deserve all of it just because you're alive. So breathe in and out, and know that at any time you can return to being with the money fish just by putting your hand on your heart and asking. And in a moment, I'm going to call you back. But first, I'm going to give you a minute of quiet to be with this experience, to expand it, to anchor it into your body and your being. So now, say goodbye to the fish, knowing that you can return at any time by simply putting your hand on your heart. And acknowledge yourself for the powerful work that you've done, for the incredible clearing, for creating light and brightness in your pond of pure potential, your pond of pure possibilities. And you've received a gift of a golden coin from the money fish. This is the beginning of the flow of money and abundance in your life. And in a few moments, I'm going to count from 10 to 1. And when we get down to 1, you'll be ready to return to the call, ready to open your eyes if they're closed. Having received, having participated fully. 10, acknowledging the experience and the gift you've received. 9, breathing in and breathing out. 8, feeling the warmth and the increased capacity to receive and be present. 7, having freed up the ability to ask. 6, listening to the sound of my voice. 5, being ready to change, to come back. 4, starting to wiggle your toes. 3, finding your nose. 2, shaking your shoulders. And 1, coming back to the call. Ready to be present. Thank you very much for being part of the Money Fish. Thank you. It's an honor to share the Money Fish with you all.
Thank you so much, Dulcie. Wow.
My pleasure. I just love sharing the fish.
Thank
I just
you.
love this Money Fish.
Yeah, feels good. Hey, if anybody on the line or watching the recording would like to get in touch with you to ask you about the kinds of healings and coaching and services you provide, what is the best way for them to reach you?
Okay, my email address is DULCIE, C as in cat, 96769 @gmail.com.
Wonderful.
Or, shall I give my phone number?
By all
Or
means.
you can text me or call me at 406-876-5571. And thank you. I look forward to chatting with anyone who contacts me.
Yay! Thank
Yay!
you so much.
I do have a Money Fish workshop occurring the first weekend in November at the Terra Nova Retreat Center in Cedar Mountain, North Carolina. So if anyone is in the Brevard area or in North Carolina and they're interested, just contact me and I can give you the particulars. And thank you, Wendy, for this opportunity to share the Money Fish.
Absolutely. Hope you'll stick around. Now we're going to move back to the final segment of our training. What gets in the way? Money is actually a very simple thing. We are the ones who make it more complicated than it needs to be. Without our realizing it, we subconsciously connect specific behaviors and emotion-driven habits to our spending. And this is important to realize because no matter how detailed a budget we put in place to help with our financial situation, it has a very good chance of failing if we don't recognize the way we think about money and the values we attach to spending. We touched earlier on how others' beliefs around money may have influenced us. And let's further explore our money values. What is money for, anyway? This question alone can reveal a great deal about our relationship with money. We must realize that there is a definite connection between how we feel and how we spend. Our emotions can easily have us spending more than we earn. So managing money isn't just about knowing what you make and spend or identifying your future financial goals. It's also about having clarity around our ongoing relationship with money. Spending can be driven by habits and fueled by emotions. So let's take a moment to explore this important connection. Now is a good time to pull out worksheet number 3, money values. And I'm going to give you around 4 minutes to answer the assessment questions listed on the worksheet. Now, there are no right or wrong responses with this assessment. It is only meant to help reveal a person's possible money values. So while answering the questions listed, please pay attention to the responses you give that feel especially emotionally driven. So pay attention if you're feeling some strong emotion in your body. And fill out worksheet number 3, money values. And we've got about a minute left. All right, and let's come back. And I want to open it up for some discussion. So how easy or difficult was it to answer the question, the worksheet questions? How easy or difficult was it to answer the questions on the worksheet? Or were there emotions? Were there any emotions that these questions invoked in you as you were working on it?
This is Holly. So I had a big reaction to number 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hell no. That off. Absolutely not. And I had a whole lot of stuff to say about it, exclamation points and all kinds of stuff, because the lesson for the year for me has been that everybody has to take care of their own stuff. And when you try to make things easier for people, all it does is postpone. There's 2 things that happens. It just postpones it for them because it doesn't fix it. And the secondary thing that happens is it depletes your own stuff. And that may be where that could be used to actually serve in another area, but it just doesn't serve it. And so says the mother of grown children with addiction problems asking for money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it's I would encourage everyone to, you know, to journal about that later, about, you know, what are the common values that we attach to money. You know, I noticed my old ancient programming coming up, and I answered the way that I would answer now, but I remember some of that old script and some of the messages about putting other people in front of ourselves. And you're right, you know, the number 4, I had a little bit of a trigger around that too, because it's enabling. Yeah, I would definitely want to support my sister to work with a financial counselor, and, you know, and think proactively about how she could, you know, get caught up and start to be more, you know, but I wouldn't do it myself. There's also, like, you know, sometimes you're just too close and your sister's not really wanting, you know, she's wanting you to fix it, but, you know, setting that distance, that's all part of the work, isn't it? Wonderful. Thank you. I want to kind of just go ahead and move forward. I'm in recognition of the time that we're at. According to the Wall Street Journal, nearly 70% of consumers live paycheck to paycheck. A Gallup study revealed that 68% of respondents could not cover a $5,000 cash emergency without having to go into debt for it. Fewer than 50% of respondents between the ages of 30 and 50 have even $10,000 saved for their retirements. As these startling statistics point out, Many of us have the emotional impulse to have fun and spend our money now rather than to think about the consequences in the future of this behavior. The more aware you are of what's driving your spending today, the easier it will be to take charge of your personal finances, improve your money wellness, and secure your future. You now know a little more about yourself and your personal financial situation. Let's bring this webinar to a close with some important final thoughts about improving your money wellness. Here's what we've covered in the last hour of this webinar. You have a better understanding of your expenses in relation to your earnings. This will help you see whether you're living within your means and where things can be improved. You recognize the importance of setting financial goals, committing to them, determining which goals are most important, and creating a plan to reach them. 3, you have an increased awareness around how emotions can drive money spending behaviors. Think of what you have learned just as the beginning of obtaining better money wellness. If your financial situation is not where you want it to be, it will take time for you to get fully back on track to obtain your goals. But it's important to start now rather than to not start at all because you feel behind or discouraged. I'm going to share 3 perspectives that can help you get where you want to be sooner. Please pull out worksheet number 4, moving forward, and take some notes on the information that I'm about to share. Number 1, recognize what you can and can't control. Some expenses are controllable, others not so much. A mortgage or car payment is going to hit every month whether you are ready for it or not. But other expenses, like that iced mocha drink or those new shoes, are very much within your control and therefore easier to change if you recognize your triggers and remember your goals. Remember, it is the little expenses added up over time and not the big ones that typically derail our financial budget the most. 2, plan for the unexpected. Another culprit to our best financial plans are those unexpected expenses that pop up just when we feel like we are getting going. The car breaks down, the water heater goes out, we get a note from the IRS that we owe them a big chunk of change. Even though we don't like it, the fact is these types of expenses are bound to show up sooner or later. Therefore, we need a plan. We need to plan for these expenses ahead of time by setting aside a little each month so that the money is there when we need it. And 3, stick with it. Don't give up. Money can be volatile, and when we hit bumps in the road, we'll be tempted to give up. Do your best to stick with your money wellness plan and keep working it. Hitting a bump in the road doesn't mean that you have failed or lack discipline. It just means you may have to make some necessary adjustments so it continues to work going forward. Take a look at the image of the piggy bank at the bottom of the worksheet and write on top of it one thing that you have learned from this training that you will commit to applying back in your life. And would anyone be willing to share what that is? Who would be willing to share what they're going to apply back in your life? I'm going to apply the money fish meditation for sure. I'm going to put my hand on my heart and visualize that money fish. And I'm going to remember to ask for more than enough. That was so powerful, Dulcie. And I think one thing that I am going to take on from this last section for sure is the plan for the unexpected. Just putting a percentage of whatever it was I made away for the, that rainy day or that unexpected expense. Anyone else have a takeaway, something that be willing to share about what they're going to apply back in your life?
I think start doing the same thing, Wendy, as far as putting away some money every month for the future. I actually found out in the past 2 months I just cut out the spending that I normally just do without thinking, and I saved almost $1,000 for my trip to Colorado.
Wow.
And so I figure if I can do that just in a pinch when I have something special, I could be doing that all the time. So that's so this webinar has really kind of motivated me to solidify that plan.
Excellent. Thank you, Shelley. And it's also important to remind yourself from time to time that we live in a consumer society. The more you consume, the more you have to work to pay for it. So consume less to improve your overall money wellness. And finally, don't forget that it's your money and your life we're talking about here. It may not feel like it, but you are in charge of it all. So that's it for today. I want to thank you all for joining me and Shelley on the webinar. I hope you found this information valuable. And just as a reminder, we have the Overcoming Under Earning book study group coming up. And the sooner you start the enrollment process, the sooner you can get this for free or for a discount. Because, I mean, that would be like the worst, right? Because for under earners, this is really information that you need to change your beliefs and get into some really practical habits and patterns to overcome under earning. But if we use the excuse that we don't have enough money, then I just stay stuck. So I tried to make this, I tried to put the dots real close together on this one, as Dr. Phil says. So yes, go to that link. If you are enrolled by next week, you could have a full scholarship. If you are enrolled prior to Halloween, you can get a partial scholarship. By November 1st, that is also a really great deal, the membership, or you could pay it full and wait till the last minute. It's all your choice. And I love you all. Thank you so much for being here together tonight. Have a great night. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
Bye, Holly.
Bye. Bye, Holly. Bye, Kimber.
Bye. You guys have a good night.